Hello YouTube. Today I'm going to be making a video about the top 3 guns every prepper should have. So a lot of people have made videos like that, but this is just going to be my take on it. So I think the first gun that every prepper should have is some kind of handgun. And then next, in most cases, you're going to want some kind of battle rifle and then a shotgun. So the reason I think you should have a handgun first is because it's really good idea to just have one on you in daily life if, you know, the law allows you to. Because even if you're not in like a shit hits the fan scenario, it's good to have like some form of personal protection. They're obviously small and concealable. Now some downsides to them are they're not very good past ranges of like 40 yards or so. So what I recommend doing is getting one that is semi-automatic, not a revolver. Revolvers are reliable, but they have smaller capacities. So for instance, this gun holds 12 rounds in the magazine, if I can get the magazine to come out. And a revolver most times can only hold like 5 or 6. And then I can have two magazines on me and reload really quickly. Yeah, so I would get something like that. Now these guns are a little bit harder to shoot than like long guns. And the bigger pistol you have, typically the easier it's going to be to shoot. Small ones, because they are small and have less weight, they're just going to have more recoil, and because the sights aren't as long, like the back sight doesn't have a lot of distance between the front sight, that's just going to make them a little bit less accurate. And they have shorter barrels, which also just kind of reduces accuracy. But within 30 to 40 yards, you should do pretty well as long as you've trained. So of all the guns, this one is probably going to require the most training. That being said, it's actually pretty intuitive design-wise on how it functions and all. You just put a magazine in, rack the slide, and then pull the trigger, and you're pretty much ready to go. And that's about all there is to it, really. Yeah, especially if you live in the city, this is an important gun to have because there's more violence there, and in a shit hits the fan scenario, especially if you live in the city, getting out is going to be your #1 priority and the first obstacle you're going to face, and this is going to help you survive that, and it's going to help the threat of people, which is probably going to be the first threat that you're going to face. They're not really made for hunting, but if it's all you have, like this is a 9mm, for example, you could hunt, you could kill dogs with it, or raccoons, that kind of thing, as long as they're within range. This isn't a hollow point, this is just a regular ball ammo, full metal jacket. You're going to want to have some hollow points because they do a lot more damage to targets. And you're going to want to stock up on those. I'd recommend having at least a few hundred rounds for whatever kind of pistol you have. If it's something like 9mm, I think 9mm is probably your best option because it's the most abundant ammo. It's pretty cheap. So a lot of people have it. So as far as like scavenging for ammo, which a lot of people have in their minds that they're just going to be scavenging ammo off dead bodies all the time. I don't think that is usually going to be the case. I think it's going to be pretty infrequent that you find any extra ammo, but if you do, there's a good chance it's going to be 9mm, so 9mm is a good round to go with. If you live in a place where lots of people have guns, a 45 would be a good option too, because more people are going to have 45. And it's also, like 45, they say has more like knockdown power, but I looked at some like statistics and stuff, and typically you have about the same odds of being killed by a 9mm as a 45, and targets tend to stop attacking after being shot with a 9mm almost as much as the 45, and the 9mm is cheaper, so I think the 9mm is a pretty good option. So the next one you're going to want is a battle rifle. So some people might call this an assault rifle. Basically it's just something that is designed for combat, and it's a long rifle, and it's usually chambered in an intermediate cartridge. This one is an AR-15 and it's chambered in 5.56, but you can also shoot 2.23. It looks like this. So a lot of people that don't know a lot about guns think that they shoot just some kind of crazy round that can, just obliterate people, but really it's not that great of a round. It's pretty small. Now it does this, the 5.56 or 2.23 goes really fast and penetrates well, but it's just a small bullet, so it doesn't do a ton of damage. It is good for taking down multiple targets, and basically this gun is for, if people are your obstacle. So whatever kind of battle rifle you get, I think you should get something that has detachable mags, can hold at least, have magazines that are at least 20 to 30 rounds. So some other options are like the AK-47, which shoots a 7.62 by 39. Now the AR isn't a great hunting rifle. You can shoot. I wouldn't want to shoot anything larger than like a coyote with it. It's really, they call it like a varmint rifle or a predator rifle. So anything up to about coyote size, you can take down pretty reliably with this. But it's not optimal for deer hunting. I know some people do it, but you're going to want to make your shots count if you do choose this rifle and decide to hunt with it. Now, the AK-47 and 7.62 by 39, it has a little bit bigger projectile, and it can be used for hunting. A lot of people use the SKS for hunting, which is chambered in the same round, and you can hunt up to deer-sized animals with that, pretty much anything. And both those guns you can get for around $500 to $600 for a cheap one, but they can be anywhere. They can be up to $1,000. This one costs about $650, and it's pretty accurate. I've made 300-yard shots with it on a 12-inch target, so you can take pretty long shots, even with a gun on the cheaper side. Some other rifles that could fill this role would be like something like the AR-10 or the FNFAL, and both of those I believe are chambered in 308, and 308 is a little bit beefier of a round. You're gonna have a little bit farther range, and it's gonna be able to do more like hunting type deals, so you're gonna be like able to kill deer, probably like even elk, bigger game like that. Now the downside of that is, for one, both those guns are a lot more expensive. I think the AR-10 usually starts around $900 to $1,000. And also, if you're in a close quarters combat situation and you're wanting to fire really quick, you're going to have a lot more recoil than you would, say, with like the AR-15, because you do have that bigger round. But they're also great guns. Now, if you're on a budget, or if you just kind of already have this gun, something else that can fill this role would be like a lever action gun chambered in something larger, like 30-30. So those can usually have a capacity of 7 or 8 rounds, sometimes a little more, which is a little bit less than you want, but you can also fire it very fast. So that can kind of fill that role if that's all you've got. And in some states they have more restrictions on like semi-automatic rifles and stuff, so that might be a situation where you want to have a lever action gun. And lever action guns, really, that was what they were originally designed to be, was like combat rifles, before we had semi-automatic rifles like this. These are probably the most complex guns on this list to use, as far as like controls go. So you have, this is how you cock the gun with a charging handle. You've got the magazine well, safety and fire, and whenever the last round has been shot in the magazine, the bolt will be held open, and then there's something on the back that you hit. It makes it come forward, so you're going to have to remember all that kind of stuff, and this is going to require a fair amount of training. They're not hard to shoot accurately, but you just want to learn how to shoot them like quickly and do reloads and all of that. And with this one, again, you're going to want to have as much ammo as you can. That's really true of any gun, but the AR-15 and the AK, both of those rounds that they fire are very common too, so that's why they might make better options for you if you're thinking about, like scavenging for ammo or whatever. And they tend to be cheaper than like the 308. as far as ammo goes. So the last gun is the shotgun. There's all kinds of shotguns. I think a semi-auto or a pump is the best choice because you can fire rounds quickly. So what's really cool about the shotgun is the shells can be loaded, if you don't know, with all different sorts of things. So like this is double-aught buck, so it has several, I think 9 small pellets in there, and really the pellets are almost the size of the 9mm round. So getting shot by one of these is kind of like getting shot by this gun 9 times. So that makes buckshot, double-aught buck, a good option for like home defense, because if you get hit with that, you're pretty much going to be going down. Now on the downside, the range of shotguns with any kind of like birdshot or buckshot or anything like that is like 30 to 40 yards, depending on what choke you have in there. And a choke is just something that goes in the barrel that can either like restrict the pellets coming out or expand them. So then you also have slugs, which a slug would be if instead of this round, instead of having pellets, you just had one large projectile like that big and as big around as the shell. And those extend your range because they're not going to spread out. Can take shots up to like 75 yards, maybe farther, depending on what kind of choke and what kind of barrel you have. A longer barrel is going to make things more accurate, but you can also get rifled barrel for slugs, which will make them much more accurate. With those, you can really take down any size of game on the continent. Shotguns are primarily for hunting, so depending on what kind of load you use, one gun can kill any kind of game, and then especially fast-moving game is what these guns are good for, because when the pellets like spread out, they can take down game in a larger area. So if you're shooting at a bird that's flying or a rabbit that's running really fast, a shotgun is what you're going to want to go with. So this one is a Remington 870. So they make 3 different kinds of 870s. I think it's the Express, just a regular 870, and then like the Tactical or something. I'm not really sure what they call it. But be careful about the Express. They used to be really good, but a lot of people have been saying they've been having problems with the newer ones. So this is just a regular 870. That's one good option. It's probably the most popular shotgun there is right now. And then there's also the Mossberg 500, which is a very similar gun. Really, the only difference I know of is instead of the safety being right here, it's located here. But other than that, they're very similar. This one's a 12 gauge. I think 12 gauge or 20 gauge is probably your best bet because the ammo is so common, and because they're just larger loads. There is a 10 gauge, but for most people that's just a little bit too much recoil. Really packs a punch. It makes you not want to ever shoot it. They're pretty simple guns to use. You just load the shells into the tube and then pump it right here, and then you've got one in the chamber, and then you pull the trigger, and then you've got the safety, and that's really all there is to it. Pretty simple to use. You just kind of point and shoot. Shotgun sights are kind of different. There's not really much of a sight at all. There's just kind of a bead at the end, and you just look down the barrel. Which if you get a rifled barrel, you can have like rifle type sights on it. But yeah, these are awesome because you can use them for pretty much anything. So once I think you have these 3 guns, you're pretty well rounded, and you pretty much have a gun for every situation. And I do have some ideas about what to get after you've got these 3. So I think the next option that you would want would be either a 22 or a hunting rifle. So if you do get like an AR-15 and not like an SKS or an AK-47 or something in 308, I think probably your next bet would be a larger caliber hunting rifle. Something in 308 would be good, or 30-30 or 30-06. I really like the Remington 700 chambered in 25-06. The bullet is pretty small for a hunting cartridge, but it has a lot of powder behind it. which means it goes really far and really fast, and it has a pretty flat trajectory. All the deer that I've killed with a 25-06, and it always drops them within. They don't go very far at all, and it's just a good gun. But yeah, something that you can hunt larger game with, and then it also can double as like a sniper rifle if it needs to. Something that you can take long shots with, I think, is a good option to have next. And then after that, or possibly before, if you already have that roll filled, would be like a 22. So the reason I put the 22 so low on the list, a lot of people probably have it higher, is because really a shotgun can do most of what a 22 can, if not all of what a 22 can. 22 is for small game because it fires a really small round. The only advantage it really has over the shotgun is the ammo is extremely cheap. You can get like 500 rounds of 22 for like 40 or 50 bucks. And 22, yeah, it just has a little bit longer range, so you could shoot a squirrel at like 100 yards or whatever if you have a good, accurate 22 rifle. You're not going to be able to do it with a shotgun maybe at 40 yards or 50 yards, depending on your choke. So yeah, 22 isn't as good for like moving game though, so a shotgun's going to have a beat there, but shooting a squirrel out of a tree or a rabbit that's sitting still, or any size game really up to really like dog size. A lot of people wouldn't shoot anything bigger than like a raccoon with it, but I've seen wild dogs get shot with 22 and they pretty much just drop. I've even heard of people killing deer with a 22. I don't think that's a really good idea, but it can be done. But yeah, 22 would be a good option to go with next. One good option is like the 1022 made by Ruger, and it's like a semi-auto 22, and it can hold, I think they make like 30 round mags for it. It comes standard with I think a 10 round mag. But yeah, it's a pretty popular 22, and they're reasonably priced. They're probably the cheapest guns on this list. I think you can get one for, maybe not that specific 22, but you can probably find a 22 for $100. You can find them a nice one for $250. And yeah, they're pretty cheap. I don't think I told you the pistol. This one particular, I think I got on sale for $250. It's a Taurus PT-111 chambered at 9mm. But you can get all sorts of pistols ranging anywhere to like $1,000. A Glock, which I know a lot of people like the Glock 17, the Gen 5, I think is around $500 or $600. And they're pretty nice. They're a little bit bigger. So after you have a 22, the last gun on this list I'm going to have would be some kind of pistol caliber carbine. And a carbine is basically just a short rifle. So you could consider this a carbine, but I'm thinking of something that would be technically classified as a pistol because it would have a short barrel. So they make something called the AR-9, which is basically the same platform as the AR-15, but a 9mm, and the barrels are usually about this long, and then you can have a like a pistol brace or an arm brace or whatever they call it that is basically a stock, and have a really compact system. And another option for that would be something like a Vector or a Scorpion, or whatever kind of like submachine gun looking gun you want in a pistol caliber. Something in 9mm I think would be another good option, like I said, because it's so abundant and cheap, which I think like the Vector can be chambered in 9mm, and they're really nice guns. But yeah, something in a small package, easily concealable. You could hide it in your car, and because they have large magazine capacities and they're semi-automatic, you can take down multiple targets, similar to like your battle rifles roll, except just at shorter distances, like within 100 yards, and just in a small, compact, lightweight package. It's something that I want to have someday to put in like my car kit, hidden somewhere, so that if you're out and about and say it goes down when you're out of town or something, you can use that gun to kind of fight your way back. Or say even in just everyday life, if someone has road rage or something and is trying to kill you or whatever, you have a little bit better odds of taking them down with your carbine than with your handgun. But But yeah, those once you have those guns, I think you've got a pretty well-rounded armory. And at 20 minutes, I think I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. So have a good day.